Be taking a look at politics this time and ahead of the 2023 general elections. There have been a political realignment within the two major parties. Let's talk about the PDP and the APC. Now, apart from the PDP and the APC, other political parties have been repositioning themselves. But what appears to be the wave of the moment is the emergence of the third force mega party. Now, this is the thrust of our conversation this morning, and the question many is asking is why spend so much energy on the formation of the third force when previous attempts to have this has not been successful. And joining us on this conversation is a former Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Kingsley Moghalu, who also happens to be a former presidential candidate and is a member of the Fusion Council of the Third Force Mega Party. He joins us through our virtual platform. Good morning, Mr. Moghalu. How are you today?
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Yeah, we are doing well. Thanks for joining us. All right, you of course are a member of the Third Force. A member of the Fusion Council of the Third Force Mega Party. Well, tell us about this movement and what's the strategy and how does this movement intend to overrun the current political structures in the country?
Well, thank you. I hope you can hear me well.
Loud and clear.
Oh, okay, very good. Well, you know, Nigeria is ripe for a third force, a third way in Nigeria's politics because, as you know, sorry, let me balance myself a bit.
All right, you're good.
Yes, good. As you know, the politics of Nigeria for the past 23 years has been dominated by the PDP for the first, I think 16 years, and then the APC was born, I think 2013, 2014. And up till today, what we have seen is that the quality of life of Nigerians has gotten worse and worse and worse. Our security has gotten worse and worse and worse. The people of Nigeria are not participating strongly in Nigeria's democracy. And what we have seen is political cabals using politics and democracy to legitimize themselves in office and, have access to the resources of the Nigerian state. So the very purpose of democracy has not been met quite clearly. So, a number of, parties, entities, individuals decided in good conscience to come together to form what we refer to as a third force, mega party, out of a fusion or merger of several smaller parties, so that these parties can have the weight structurally to challenge the APC and the PDP in the 2023 elections. This is very necessary because you find in many democracies, whether it's the United Kingdom, whether it's in Mexico, whether it's in France, that after many years in which, two-party dominant systems become ossified, after some time, the people begin to want a third way. And sometimes politicians are able to respond to that desire. This is what is happening in Nigeria. Nigerians are tired of the APC and the PDP because they have not delivered a good life for us. So people are wondering, is there nothing else we can do? These two parties have captured us, captured our minds as if we have no other option. And many people are saying, we would like a third way, a third force, a new party. But they do not have confidence in the ability of an individual, quote unquote, small party. But if a number of such parties could come together, then many Nigerians feel that they could support them. So a third force, of course, this is not new. In 2018-19, there was an effort to birth a third force movement in the country. There were actually two efforts. One was led by former President Olusegun Obasanjo and adopted the African Democratic Congress as the vehicle, the ADC, as the vehicle for that third force. There was another effort by other aspirants in the political system in which I was involved, also to come together. So ultimately, these efforts have not been as successful as many people would have wished, but I think there's always a time for everything. And as the quality of life and security in this country deteriorate more and more before our eyes, and the value of life itself becomes devalued, then, you know, Nigerians just feel that there is no option but for people to come together to create a mega party that will hopefully win the elections in 2023 and bring better, good governance for the people of Nigeria. So that's what's behind this move. There are a number of parties, including mine, the African Democratic Congress, ADC, and a number of other parties, and not just political parties. I want to state very clearly, although political parties are the backbone, but it's being done under the aegis of the National Consultative Front, the NCF, which is a group of political parties, civil society, the Nigerian Labour Congress, representatives of the NSAS movement, and so on and so forth. So it's a movement. You know, there are a lot of people and interests involved who want something different, new, and bold in Nigeria from 2023.
All right, Mr. Moghalu, while it's true that a lot of Nigerians are quite tired of the existing political structure in Nigeria and of course the two leading political parties in Nigeria, and just like you rightly noted, many Nigerians have said that there's no difference between one or the other. However, the question must be asked as to the capacity of the third force, if successfully fused, to actually change the narrative of the country, Nigeria. I ask this because many are asking, how much can this third force mega party, if successfully fused, how far really can they go? It's just a few months before the 2023 general elections. Someone asked just this morning, can you deliver your village, for example, as a third force mega party?
Yes, I mean, you know, skepticism is understandable. But first of all, I want you to know that we are aware of the timetable for the elections. And for that reason, that's why there wasn't a new party. The whole idea is for one of the parties participating in the third force merger to be the party that adopts the other parties. And then, of course, some necessary amendments or changes structurally could be made. You know, but it's going to be an adoption by one party in the negotiations. You know, based on what has transpired, that party that will adopt will be used as the adoption party is likely to be the ADC. But that's a decision that will finally be made in the consultations of the Fusion Council, because there was a retreat on February 6th where we all agreed to go forward with the fusion, and now there's a Fusion Council which will work out the details. And we expect that in another likely 3 weeks, a third party, a new mega party, will be announced to Nigerians. Many people are waiting anxiously. It's not a new party, but it's an adoption. That way you avoid the problem of, oh, it's just 1 year to the elections. So that is not going to be a problem at all. Now, all these parties bring their structures together when the fusion takes place. And so we are going to be much stronger than we were before individually. We're stronger together. That's what many people feel. And therefore, and we're also building very strong structures in the villages throughout this country and all the local government areas. So yes, it's challenging, but we can't say that because it's challenging, it should not be done. And we're working very practically and strategically with victory in mind. If you look at the situation in Nigeria today, you will find that you don't need to tell even a madman that the market is on fire. He will, even if he's deaf and dumb, he will see people running all over the place, and he or she will realize it's up, time is up. I need to get out of here. That's what is happening in Nigeria's politics today. This country is really so degraded at this time that many citizens themselves are not going to be looking at what previously the traditional politicians think they will be looking at. they recognize that there is a very strong need for a third way in Nigeria's politics because APC and PDP have simply not delivered. Look at the municipal council elections in Abuja last weekend. In many polling booths, people simply refused to come out and vote. This is the level of apathy that the leadership of these two parties has brought to Nigerian citizens towards the political process. Many people just don't care anymore because they wonder what's in it for us. It's just the politicians helping themselves. So a new party, a new third force is needed to give them hope that there is a group of politicians that is actually interested in your interests. And that's what this is all about.
All right, Professor Moghalu, you did say much earlier that there was actually an attempt to entrench a third force in 2018-2019 ahead of the last general elections. I ask you, what has changed between then and now in terms of approach and strategy as we count down to 2023, talking about the entrenchment of a third force, giving Nigerians, another alternative?
Well, a lot has changed. And one of the things that has changed is just how terrible the economy has become. What was the price of a bag of rice 5 years ago? And what's the price today? What's the price of a mudu of gari 5 years ago? And what's the price today? Can you go on the Abuja-Kaduna highway and not have your heart in your stomach or have your heart in your mouth? How many universities can operate seamlessly for 1 year without ASU strikes? How many young people have become jobless? So I mean, look at what's it's just a terrible situation when you have youth unemployment more than 55%. So more than half of the young people of Nigeria have no jobs, no hope, no future. The educational system is broken. So the country is massively indebted, and so our future has been mortgaged essentially to foreign creditors. Inflation is so high. So this is what is different now. There is a way the system collapses and it becomes obvious, even to the blind, that it's simply not working the way it is today. And something different has to replace what is not working.
No, Prof, actually, I was trying to find out, these issues you've talked about, inflation, unemployment, insecurity, they were all there before 2019. So basically, I'm trying to find out from you what has changed in terms of the approach and strategy of the third force in your engagements with Nigerians to make them see reasons why they should embrace this alternative.
Yes, I mean, these problems existed before 2019. But they have doubled and tripled between 2019 and 2022. So there is a sense of implosion. There's a sense of desperation. Now, the third force itself has realized that we must subordinate our individual interests as political parties or as individuals to come together in the larger interest of Nigeria. This is what is different. Because you realize that for there to be a merger, different political parties really have to keep the larger picture in mind. In 2014 or 2013, whenever the APC was formed as a merger of about 4 parties, I think the ACN, the CPC, the ANPP, and the new PDP, and so on, and some parts of APGA, I suspect. When that happened, there was a coming together. But in their own case, their only reason for coming together was to take political power and to remove the government in power at the polls. But they have not themselves delivered since they took power. But our purpose in this new effort is actually to improve Nigeria's governance, to improve the security of Nigerians and make sure that families in Borno and other parts of the country can go to the farm safely. To make sure that you can travel on the Abuja-Kaduna highway or Lagos-Ibadan expressway without having your heart in your mouth. To make sure that bandits, or what people call bandits, but they're also terrorists, are not killing people in the northwest. To make sure that in the southeast, there is stability, and people want to be part of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and can go about their business without disruptions. So this is what is different this time. There is the will and there is the capacity to govern. The will to make a sacrifice, the capacity to govern, hopefully, when we win. That's what's different this time around. So it is actually happening. There are actual negotiations going on, and you will be hearing the outcome of this within the next, I would say, 3 weeks, probably.
Professor Moghalu, you referred earlier to the just concluded FCT Area Council elections and the apathy noticed, during that election. I know you have stated clearly some of what you are bringing to the table, the third force will bring to the table. But again, specifically, the how is what Nigerians will want to know. You say you have the answers to all of the many problems, but the how, what are you bringing to the table that is sufficiently fresh, believable, because your promises are similar to what Nigerians heard in 2015 and 2019. And again, what is worth the attention of a membership of a now disappointed Nigerian electorate? What are you bringing that is worth the attention of Nigerian electorate that will make them want to be a part of this third force mega party?
Yes, Nigerians will see in the new mega party that hopefully will be announced very soon, they will see a collection of individuals, leaders, personalities whom they trust, people who have ideas, people who have been successful in various walks of life. They will see political parties that have made a lot of sacrifice because of their love for the people of Nigeria. Politics in Nigeria it's two ways. It's either you're in it for the benefits or you are in it for service. So many of these political parties are people who want to serve the Nigerian people. And their track records, the individuals who are involved in this third force, you will find many people who have served this country with distinction. And I think that will give confidence to Nigerians. You have people like the chairman of the NCF, Professor Patu Tomi. You have people like Atahiru Jega. You have people like Usman Bugaje. You have people like Olisa Bakoba. You have people like myself, my humble self. You have people like Obia Zekwesili, and so many other Nigerians who many people, I believe, will know that they're not there to steal your money from your treasury, because in previous assignments, they've delivered value. That's the difference between the new mega party that is coming and the traditional politics that we have experienced. The corruption that goes on in Nigeria is humongous. It's on an industrial scale. And that's the purpose of politics for many traditional Nigerian politicians and the two dominant political parties. They are defined largely by corruption. But the third force mega party is a group of serious men and women who are looking to transform Nigeria to become like the countries we all visit. We go to Dubai, we go to America, we go to Vietnam, we go to Singapore, we go to Malaysia. Why can't we be like those countries? The people who are leading those countries do not have two heads. That's what we believe in this third force mega party, and that we will demonstrate it to Nigerians if Nigerians give us the opportunity. If it's not working, if it's broken, you've got to fix it. Nigerians, since the traditional politicians have refused to change, Nigerians themselves must change in order to bring about the change they want. So you must change the way you vote. You must try something different. You cannot keep doing the same thing and keep expecting, a different result. So we're not bothered by the skepticisms. We're determined, working quietly and resolutely to clear away those doubts and bring Nigerians back into a democracy in which they themselves are the bosses and the elected politicians are their servants. That's what it should be. That's what democracy means, not the politicians as organa master. No, and that's what we have today. And that's because of the character of the current politics. It's a politics of plunder, the extraction of Nigeria's resources to a small group, a tiny group of individuals. But We are more people-oriented. That's the difference. We are focused on the people, and many aspects of civil society, political parties, individuals, Nigerian Labour Congress are involved in this new third force mega party. And that's why it's going to have serious electoral traction in 2023. Anybody who says they know the outcome of the 2023 elections and that is between the APC and the PDP, I think those kinds of ideas should be more humble because something new is coming. There's going to be a disruption in Nigerian politics. The playing field is fairly level. There's no incumbent president running for election in 2023. And the situation in our country is so bad, so bad. I don't need to tell you that many people want something different now.
All right, Prof, in 2018, of course, we saw the emergence of two third forces in Nigeria, which, of course, you agreed were unsuccessful in the 2019 elections. And here we are again having this conversation. Where does it look like we keep having conversations around third force or third forces on the eve of elections, as opposed to a situation where a political movement should take its time, you know, to sell its ideologies, programs to the people?
Yes, that's a very good question. Failure is no excuse to try again. We cannot give up. This time, we hope that we will be successful. In 2019, for example, one of the efforts in which I was involved was not really an effort of political parties. It was a discussion among personalities, individuals who felt they cared about Nigeria. But what is happening now that is very different is that this is a discussion and a negotiation between political parties, but also with the involvement of civil society. You see, that's the very big difference. And a convening platform of the National Consultative Front, the NCF. So there's so many more interests representing the Nigerian people that are involved in this discussion. And already there has been an agreement in principle that these parties will come together. So we're making far more progress than in 2019. It's still a year to the elections. And so I don't think it's too late at all. A week is a long time in politics. Nigeria's politics is a late-breaking game, but we don't want to be too late. So by the beginning of March, I think there will be a new thing on the Nigerian political scene, and I believe it will bring important changes to Nigerian politics. So let's not be, shall we say, intimidated by the failures of the past. And yes, ideally, such movements should form well ahead of the elections. I totally agree with you. But the perfect cannot become the enemy of the good. There are, peculiarities in the Nigerian political landscape. We must accept that. But the important thing is that we're making progress and we have our heart out for the Nigerian people. And this time it will work, hopefully.
Professor Moghalu, there's a huge trust deficit, between Nigerians and its leaders, and most of the time politicians, those who come out to seek elected offices, you do know that many believe that members of this third force mega party have occupied leadership positions, have wielded influence, been privy to the formulation and implementation of public policies at one point or the other, and some for good while some for ill, and this situation is thereby some people among this third force have thereby benefited, whether the outcome of their their time in office, in any public office, was for good or for ill. And because of this, Nigerians are suspicious and may take or are taking this ideology of yours with a pinch of salt. What do you have to say to those who say, who think like this, who believe that you have been privy to positions in the past and so may not be very different from others?
Well, I would humbly ask you, first of all, to look at the track records of many leaders in the third force. Look at my track record, for example, as Deputy Governor of the Central Bank. I led the development and introduction of the bank verification number. I headed the Financial System Stability Directorate of the Central Bank, which stabilized and reformed Nigeria's banking system between 2009 to 2014. We made sure that no bank failed, no Nigerian depositor lost one kobo. We brought inflation down to 8% by 2014. So look at those kinds of track records. Many of us also have similar track records in other institutions that we have worked. People like Professor Jega, yes, the INEC was not perfect, but in the 2015 elections, most observers felt it was far more credible than the 2019 elections. So if you look at a lot of the leaders of the third force, you will find that Obia Ezekwesili, for example, as Minister of Education, she led quite a number of important reforms in the education system. So unfortunately, there was not continuity. So you find a lot of people in the third force, far more than not, that have actual track records in successful and transformational governance. That's the difference. And we decided, let's come together, those of us who think alike, and renew the trust of the Nigerian people in politics and in democracy and in leadership. We know that trust is broken, but we will be coming to the Nigerian people with a framework for accountability. This time around, this is how you can hold us accountable. And look at our track record. It's different from the APC and the PDP. So we're going to have to talk to people whose hearts have been broken. I put out a message on Valentine's Day, and I said, politics is like love. A lot of people, vote with their heart and not with their head. But if you enter into the wrong kinds of relationships, you can get burnt and heartbroken. Nigerians have been heartbroken by their politicians because the politicians have been abusive, the politicians have been unfaithful to them, and we say to them, choose right in 2023. Let's have a new type of relationship with different types of people who are much more credible and much more sincere in their love for you as fellow Nigerians. So yes, we know that trust has been broken, but I ask you to look at the capacity that is inherent in the third force. I ask you to look at the track record. I ask you to look at our vision, which we are articulating very clearly, and we'll bring out when the mega party is launched in the next few weeks. So we want to come with a different type of politics, a politics in which we are focused on winning at a practical level. We will organize, we will have strong structures across the 774 local government areas, and we will go directly to the people. But we will go to them with ideas, a clear plan, not a promise. There's a difference between a promise and a plan. A promise is just talking in the air. I will, we will. But a plan is an action agenda with milestones for achievement and how to monitor and evaluate it and so on. That's what's different in the politics of the third force from what is happening in the APC and the PDP.
All right, it does look like this third force movement of yours is principally driven by technocrats who have, of course, distinguished themselves in their various fields of endeavor. Is this movement open to persons from the existing structures, talking about the PDP and APC? And if you do welcome members of APC and PDP and other political parties into this movement, aren't you worried that it might undermine the credibility of the movement?
That's a good question. Well, you see, democracy is government of the people, by the people, for the people. So you cannot be so exclusive. You have to keep an open door to all citizens of Nigeria who mean well for Nigeria. But of course, if you have been indicted or convicted of crimes and all those kinds of things, then of course, even though you can be a member of any political party, but you cannot hold office. So in terms of the leadership of the third force, we intend to remain true to our founding ideals, regardless of who joins the third force mega party. So that's the point, and that's a challenge for members to make sure that we do not become diluted and to become, new wine in old wine skin. So we will try to avoid that, but we also cannot deny people of their constitutional rights to freedom of association. So people can come in, and so long as they subject themselves to the vision and to the ideals of the mega party that we're about to form. So yes, it's an important question that you have asked, but we're not saints, and we're not trying to create a club of saints, but we're not also devils. We want to maintain our focus, but we also want to be pragmatic and practical, and get to power in order to exercise responsibility for the Nigerian people. So it's not some theoretical association. We are politicians, but we are a new and different breed of politics. That's what we're about. Because the old politics has failed, we're bringing a new type of politics to Nigerians, a competition of vision, competition of ideas about how this country can prosper, how our young people can get jobs and create new jobs with technology and skills and all of that. A modern 21st century governance and leadership is what the new mega party will be bringing to Nigerians. The old ways, their time is up. The old traditional politicians, their time is up. Many of them, our young people, will be telling them, vote for your future, not for your ancestors. Vote for your future, not for the past. Yes, we've failed. We've had a lot of failure in this country. But at last, you now have a group of people, new political parties or old political parties that have come together to create a different future for our country. That's what this is about. And it's going to, for example, the involvement of the Nigerian Labour Congress, I think, is a very important factor in this new development. I believe it will have political and electoral consequence in the months ahead.
Professor Moghalu, you would agree with me that every time politicians are giving the mandate to fix Nigeria, they literally finish the tool giving or worsen the situation and worsen the problem. Now, one of the issues we've seen a lot of times is the correct diagnosis of the Nigerian condition. A lot of the times, let's go back to 2015 when this current administration came on board. It came on the mantra of change. It said it was going to end insecurity in the country. It was going to, fight corruption to a standstill and improve the Nigerian economy. Needless to say, you know where we are today. However, a lot of Nigerians believe that true federalism and the restructuring of this country is one of the ways that Nigeria can truly move forward. How has your third force mega party been able to diagnose the Nigerian condition to know what way best for the country in 2023?
You're right. We have been able to diagnose Nigeria's condition clinically, and we are diagnosing it with something in mind, how to fix it. If you don't diagnose the problem correctly, you can't solve it. That's one of the things you have to understand. But you can diagnose correctly, but you will not be able to fix it. And this is what we will change. The reason why the traditional politicians in the APC and PDP have not been able to fix it is because they lack the will. You see, you have to have the will, and then in the case of the APC, there is also a complete lack of capacity. So there is a lack of will, there's a lack of capacity. They wanted power, but now that we've found love, what are we going to do with it? Like the musician said, they found power, but they didn't know what to do with it. The third force mega party that is coming is committed, is willing, has the capacity to solve the problems. So yes, you noted that there are a lot of technocrats in the third force. This is one of the strengths and advantages that the third force will have. It's a party of ideas. It's a party that is ideologically clear and focused about participatory democracy. So we have a burning desire in our heart to prove to Nigerians that democracy is not useless. You can actually get dividends from it, apart from just having the freedom to voice out your opinion, but it will have dividends for your stomach. We're not going to be buying votes, but if you put us into elective office, we will make the economy to work for you. We will create opportunities for you as Nigerians to prosper. That's the whole point. So we have capacity, we have will, we have vision. That's the difference between the mega party that is coming and the old politics of machines, of APC and PDP, and getting power, sharing the booty, and all of that. That has failed. But you see, Nigerians themselves must take responsibility. When the third force mega party is announced, the test is for Nigerians. You have been crying, you have been weeping, wailing, and gnashing your teeth. Now, a new opportunity has come. Will you take it? Or will you go back to the old ways? Will you allow the politicians who have used you and abused you in the past to try to do the same again in 2023? Will you sell your future for 5,000 naira? This is a challenge for the Nigerian people. Nigerian people must take ownership of the failure of democracy also, because the people are the ones who have been voting for incompetent and corrupt politicians. They're voting for them because they say, they have structure, they will win. You don't join a bandwagon that is a winning bandwagon in terms of an election, but is a bandwagon to nowhere in terms of governance. You have to elect people who can actually provide you with services. So there's a responsibility on Nigerians themselves to change the way they think and to change the way they behave electorally. So not to worship parties and structures, but to look at individuals, look at personalities, and look at their track record. Who's running for Senate? Who's running for House of Reps? Who's running for President? Who's running for State House of Assembly? What has this man or woman done in the past? In any endeavor, have they been competent? Have they been honest? Have they delivered value? That's what the third force is bringing into Nigerian politics. So the people themselves have a responsibility as this new mega party comes to save themselves from the coming anarchy, the looming anarchy. There's a time bomb in this country waiting to explode. And if the old politicians and the old brigade returns, it will surely explode. If you bring in a new competent group of men and women, we will diffuse this bomb. And there will be safety all around, and we can then begin to rework the system towards prosperity and progress. Right. So it's a very clear choice. 2023 is going to be a choice between the old and the new. Clearly, people have to make a decision.
All right, Professor Kingsley Moghalu, University Don, former Deputy Governor of Nigeria's Apex Bank, that's the Central Bank of Nigeria, a former presidential candidate, and of course a member of the Fusion Council of Third Force Mega Party. He has joined us this morning to take a look at why Nigeria needs a third force as we count down to the 2023 general election. Prof, we appreciate your time on Kakaaki, the African Voice, this morning.
Thank you for being a part of it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right.